Welcome, everybody, to what I believe is episode 17 of the Safe Lane Podcast. I am Travis Elliott, otherwise known as Rafi Dota, and with me, as always, is my friend and co-host, Jack Ballinger. Jack, what do we have on the docket today?
Well, we're going to start off talking about some Captain's Draft Dota. Then we're going to move into roster shuffles. And then we're going to close it out talking about the recent Galaxy battles. I'm going to call it a snafu for now, just to keep it, keep things tame. So it's going to be a little bit of a downer compared to the Overwatch show, which was pretty exciting. Lots of fun predictions. This is, obviously a huge day for them. But let's just go ahead and get right into it. So the most recent event we had was the Captain's Draft 4, and it was actually a minor. So I wanted to start right off the bat and just go over, what are your thoughts on this kind of event as a minor? Because it's not a typical, Captain's Mode game, which has, for the entire history of Dota, been the format for all the majors and minors. But I'm just going to start off by saying I thought it was pretty successful, and I would like to see more events like this as minors in the future.
So,
what do you think?
I'm obviously, full disclosure, I'm friends with some of the Moonduck guys. Obviously, I want success for them in everything that they do. Midas Mode was amazing.
That might be a bit too far to be a major or minor. But I will agree that was a fun event.
I think Captain's Draft it rides that line. It's it's out there, but it's not too far out there. I'm trying to find a way to describe how I think that it is comparative to other sports.
Yeah, I was thinking about this too. It's kind of tough because it's in a really interesting place. It's kind of like a show matchy type event, but it's pretty serious because these guys are playing with their real rosters and they're trying hard.
Right. So I guess for me, I can draw two comparisons. One would be to motorsport. So in NASCAR, you have the difference between a regular track and a road course. So it's not, you're not differentiating oh, well, this person, yeah, you can be a better driver on a road course than on the regular track. But it's not that being worse at one makes you a worse team. And in motorsport, in NASCAR, road courses are less common, much like Captain's Draft is less common. And then I think the other thing that I could compare it to would be tennis. So you can play on clay, you can play on grass, you can play on other types of surfaces, and some people excel better on different playing surfaces, things like that.
That's a good comparison, I think. I like the tennis example.
So I definitely think that we saw a lot of good teams here struggle with a wider hero pool. Or even, I guess, a more limited hero pool, I guess, is the better word, because they couldn't. The game took out some of the heroes that they might have wanted. So it's kind of random where sometimes, oh, well, that hero didn't get put in the pool, so we don't have to worry about banning it. But on the other hand, ooh, some of my heroes aren't in the pool, and they might decide to ban, I think we saw Vici, they banned Earth Spirit whenever it was in the pool because you're playing against Jerax. And it was
it's just a good hero.
Yeah, and you also have strategies I think Vici, was it Vici? I think it was Vici Gaming pulled where, OG is sitting there thinking they're drafting normal, and they're lol, look at them drafting all their cores already, and then they're fuck, there are no cores left.
Yeah.
They took them all and then they banned the rest.
I think it was, they first picked Terrorblade and banned all the other cores, and No-Tail had to play Dazzle or something. Yeah. I think
mid-dazzle, off-lane, 4-position Shadow Shaman with an off-lane Spirit Breaker. It was bad. It looked okay to start, but woo.
At the end of that draft, the OG booth, they must have been, oh, fuck. What happened? Yeah, I think going into this event, I was thinking about how it's going to really award these teams that have good captains. And I think the results really speak for themselves. You have first place, Team Secret. obviously Puppy, one of the most storied captains in all of Dota 2. I mean, he's been in this game pretty much the entire life of the game. He's got a great team around him that can play tons of heroes, especially Ace. Like, God, we talked about this guy for a long time on our last show, so I'm not going to get too far into it. But god damn, he's so good. Like, his Meepo in that last game,
Yeah.
wow. You know, if I could be half as good at Dota as him, I would be happy.
I mean, I think this is kind of what we talked about when we were talking about this roster is, he could have really gone either way. It was kind of like with Kezu. It's like you pull these talented players out of these shitty situations and give them the opportunity to shine. And so far, Puppy's, 2-0 on these types of players.
And then you've also got Yapzor on position 4, and that's another guy who can play pretty much anything. And personally, I think he's the best support player in the game right now.
In terms of versatility, yeah. I
in terms of just versatility and in-game performance results, like, just look at his statistics next time you're bored. They speak for themselves. He dies like once, twice in games where he's playing heroes like Earthshaker or Earth Spirit. The guy is just insane. And then second place team, Vici Gaming, you have Lanham and Fenrir, who just bring years of experience drafting to the table as well. And they kind of started out the event a little bit shaky, but it looks like just as they got more used to the format, they really crushed their way to the grand finals. Personally, I think events like this are really cool. They place a lot of emphasis on drafting, which, drafting is a big part of Dota 2, but there's not really any events where the draft is such a huge part of it like it was here. Especially, one other thing we forgot to mention is that the non-captains mode heroes are in this game.
Right.
There were a couple matches where we could have seen techies, and I don't think anyone got to play Pangolier. I think it was banned every time it came up. But we definitely saw a few Dark Willow games. And she looks crazy, crazy strong. Basically, just terrorizes.
My only gripe with this tournament is that in a lot of the qualifiers, we didn't really get, the best teams participating. Like, there were limited, which, to be fair, I love the limited qualifier spots for a minor. Like, Moonduck did everything right in my book. This is a minor. We're inviting 2 teams. Qualifiers are smaller. Perfect.
Yeah, I think it's the right kind of scope.
This is what a minor should look like. In terms of the teams that are here, like, you have some big teams that played their way through the European qualifier and things like that, but you're not, like, we're not seeing, we've got captain's mode or draft or whatever with, EG and Liquid and Navi and all the huge names and Newbie. Like, most of the bigger Chinese teams weren't in the Chinese qualifier. Navi wasn't in the CIS qualifier. Like, I think that they did a good job. I would have liked to see more teams, I guess, invited. I don't know. It's hard because, like, I like this mode and I would love to see some, like, top-notch captains dueling it out. It's a shame.
Well,
PPD
a lot of those teams might have just been avoiding it because they weren't sure how it was going to go. It's like,
also possible.
We could either prepare for an upcoming major or minor that's going to be played on the actual captain's mode patch, or we could go do this event that it kind of looks like a goofy side event, at least before it happened.
Right.
So it makes sense that teams like Liquid or, even Navi's, the Chinese teams, they wouldn't want to participate because they might just see it as a waste of time. Hopefully, this past week changed their minds a little bit, and they'll take it seriously going forward, especially some of these teams that rely on their captains a lot, because I think winning this tournament is excellent bragging rights as a captain and drafter.
I agree.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about was the panel on this event. Now, Moonduck events are somewhat notorious for having very informal panels, and I'm going to go ahead and come out and say that I think this is a great thing. I really enjoy it as a contrast to the like ultra professional panels that you get at like an ESL event. But I wanted to get your thoughts on this, especially as a guy who's covering the Overwatch League. What do you think about these kind of panels and their place in our competitive scene in a world where we have like the LCS and Overwatch League that are going to be super professional?
Well, I mean, we have. I think everybody's got to have some type of professionalism. Like the big primetime games, like yeah, sure, you know, like
Suit and tie.
you want Jim Nance, you want the best of the best guys in the booth, always. But I mean, I don't think there's a reason why the two can't coexist because I mean, for any basketball fans out there, even though it drove me up the wall to listen to, Bill Walton was the co-caster for the Pac-12 tournament last year for Pac-12 basketball, and it was really lighthearted. Really, it was like a Moonduck cast of basketball, you know, with obviously still keeping some professionalism there, but I mean, it was not what you would expect to hear like on ESPN or a major network. And I personally didn't subscribe to that particular instance, but I love what Moonduck does with the panels, because I think that professionalism is good to a certain extent, but I think that too much of it is a bad thing because I think we see a lot of amateur casters and people come out and they try to be overly professional and things like that, and it just results in a really stale and boring cast or something that ends up really awkward if they make a mistake and try to correct themselves. Whereas Moonduck, it just flows like, because the one of my favorite things about this was they had an hour long delay because one of OG's computers shit the bed, and that's what they were like. Okay, roll with the punches. We're gonna do a big old Q&A session, like just.
Oh, when Slacks went into the crowd, yeah, that was really funny.
It was great. It was great content.
Some pretty cringy memes, but most of it was really good.
I cannot wait to see, what they do next. I hope, we still have a couple of unnamed or I don't know if it's just the sponsors are unnamed or if they don't have them yet. But there's like unnamed majors / minors to be added. Obviously, we have to replace Galaxy Battles. Even if it's not Moonduck like organizing the entire event, I would love to see, a company come forward and be like, hey, we're going to pay for this tournament. Our name's going to go on a bunch of stuff, but we want Moonduck to run it, essentially. We want your talent on the panel. We want, you guys to pretty much handle everything, but we just get to foot the bill and put our names there.
I really liked also Blake Martinez on the panel. I thought that was a really great addition, and something that I've seen Moonduck do before is bring in guests like that. And it's something that a lot of other panels don't really do. The only other event I can think of that does something like this was the DreamHack Dream League, which is also kind of a meme event. Yeah, when they had Waka Flocka on the panel. That was pretty funny. But yeah, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the story about Blake's first Steam username. I guess I won't say it, but I mean that cracked me up. That was just too funny.
If you've been on Dota and you use any of Tortellini's builds, he has actually changed his name to that.
Oh, that's so good. I really like these kind of events because it really humanizes the game for me. It can get a little bit stale watching, like, I'm not trying to throw shade at these guys because they're really great at what they do, and I do like watching them. But it can get stale watching, like the Red Eye, Merlini, whatever pro they bring on, panel talk serious about Dota for 30 minutes in between games. I find myself muting a lot of these panels.
Yeah.
But I had the captain's draft panel on all the time because they're just hilarious. So I think it was overall a roaring success.
Absolutely.
And then
Can't give enough props to Moonduck.
Yeah, seriously. Elimination mode and Midas mode 2, I can't come soon enough. I can't wait. One more team I wanted to talk about was EG, since I know you're a fan, and they had a pretty rough event. But there was an interview with Fear that came out recently where he said this is literally the first time they'd ever played with Misery and like ever played with Sumail in the off lane.
Right.
So I think I'm definitely willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, even though Sumail looked pretty bad, except for that game he got Magnus.
Yeah.
And Misery, he looked like shit, man. He played really poorly at this tournament.
So I don't want to talk bad about people all the time, which I kind of feel like kind of ends up being a theme. I mean, I don't think it's any secret that I'm not.
Hey man, we just spent half an hour praising Moonduck. We've earned it.
I'm not the biggest fan of Misery. Just as a player, as a person, just from
all these guys that team hop so much, it's the same story every time. High hopes going in, and then 2.5 months later, they're on a different team.
Right. And I mean, he does kind of feel like one of those perennial, moving pieces in Dota. But I think that he's going to run into some of the same problems that Evil Geniuses may have had when Peter was there, is that big personalities clash, which is, I don't know if that's why he left Optic. I definitely do not know. But that was what I prophesied, coming in. I was like, these guys, they're not going to last, Peter and Misery, because, both of them feel the need to be number one. And, in my opinion, Peter's number one.
That actually provides us with a pretty good segue into our next topic. I guess I'll just go ahead and open with this. Is 3-3 replacing Misery on Optic, and I think he's playing position 4. Am I right?
Yes, he's playing position 4. He moved from the off lane, which a lot of people are skeptical that, could he move from the off lane to the position 4? It's, it is a little bit of a change, not as big as going from 5 to mid, but
he's playing with Peter though, so he's going to get more farm than a traditional position 4.
I agree, and I think Peter's had great success with teams in the past. He did that with Zai.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why they can't do it again. I think that this is just,
for sure. I look at 3-3 as a player kind of similar to Yapzor or Zai when he played position 4. So I think, they've got all the ingredients there. It's kind of a bummer that Galaxy Battles fell through. I was excited to see them compete. But I think I'm going to chalk this up in my promising, but I'm not willing to get over the moon about it. Roster changes. I feel kind of the same way about the Immortals move, where they've got MSS replacing Forev in the off lane.
I think that's going to destroy them personally. It
just seems so strange.
English. They all speak fine English, but I just, there's a different level when all of those players they can speak Korean to each other, and I'm not usually a fan of the all one nationality teams. I was not a fan of all Swedish alliance. Fuck all that.
I think with Asian teams it's a little bit different though, just because it's so rare to find a Westerner that speaks Korean or Chinese fluently enough to play in a team with 4 other Asian players. And it seems like they just replaced Forev he's a good offlaner. They just replaced him with an offlaner of
equal
skill. Yeah. It's a strange move to me.
I don't know. I don't feel good about that. I do feel good about the 3-3 move. Let's see. We have a couple others. We've got some new teams.
Sox's team, Team World.
I was going to say, I think since the last time, so I'm no longer the manager of Leviathan. Obviously, Leviathan is disbanded.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that first.
But BSJ and Monkeys Forever now on VGJ. I believe it's Storm is the American one.
It's KBBQ's or the team he manages.
Right. Obviously, I'm super biased. I love my players, and obviously Brian and I are friends, and I want nothing but the best for him. And honestly, I think this team is gonna be able to make more waves than old VGJ.
Yeah, I think this is actually a really good team. I think BSJ is definitely one of the better carry players in North America for sure. And 747 or Royoya or whatever he's calling himself nowadays, he's kind of flown under the radar for most of his career. But I would put him right up there as one of the best, one of the better mid lane cores in North America. He's super good. And then, we've seen Monkeys Forever. He's a bit of an odd player. Like, he plays some weird heroes, but he's definitely good.
Have you seen his hotkeys?
I don't want to.
They'll make you shudder.
What is it, like Legacy?
No,
Does he play Legacy?
It's whatever he plays with the keys, like at the bottom of the keyboard. So like all
like ZXCV.
Yeah, like ZXCV, and then
okay.
But all
That's
of his.
Not so weird.
But I think he keeps like the standard item hotkeys. I think so. Like item hotkeys are still like B and like D and S and stuff like that. It's weird.
That's weird. Okay. Yeah.
I think he might have some on the numbers too. So which always confuses me because I'm like, if your main hands are on like ZX CV, like how are you getting all the way up to like 1 and 2?
Maybe they're like on a mouse button, like on the side of his mouse.
No, it would say mouse 1.
No, if you have like a Razer Nog or one of those MMO gaming mice, you can bind.
But he does not
set up. Okay, then question mark.
I do know that.
May as well be playing on Legacy keys.
I think Garter played on Legacy keys, I believe.
Yeah, there's still quite a few people that do. I know Arteezy still plays Legacy keys.
I really do. Like, I think that VGJ was a talented squad to start with, and I feel like they pulled out at least one weak link in Ritsu, and then replaced them with 2 really strong players. Like, I hate to be the guy that says this about like a former team, but it's kind of like they took the 2 best pieces of a decent team and took them and ran. And I think
one thing we're not talking about is that Monkeys is a team player through and through.
Oh, absolutely.
As well, like this guy is willing to sacrifice himself so that the team can win.
He understands the game so well.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You cannot possibly overemphasize how much he actually brings to a team, because every roster change we made on Leviathan, every one, Monkeys changed to make sure that the team was operating at full capacity. Because when we added Garter, who was a more vocal player, Monkeys kind of took a step back, where he wasn't as vocal because he has his mid laner making calls as they move throughout the game. But like before that, when we were working with Sammy Boy, who wasn't as, vocal on the mic, Monkeys was the one making the calls all the time. Him and BSJ. I think they work incredibly well together, which is one of the reasons why I rate VGJ Storm so highly. I think both of those players worked so well together, and coming into a team that they're already familiar with. Like when we were at LAN in LA, like they were all buddy with the VGJ guys. Well, everyone really, but like Monkeys knows those guys.
Yeah, of course. They played in North America forever together.
Right. So like I think this is going to be a good team. I have high hopes and expectations for this.
Let's talk about the other new North American team, which is what are they? Team or Animal Planet.
Yeah.
So this is Ritsu Bryle, Moon Meander, and then Aoi 2000 and Kitrak. I really like this roster except for Ritsu.
Yeah. Well, so Ritsu left for this team.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe star power. Uh, okay, so I guess like I can shed a little bit of light. This team has been together for a while. Like this isn't new. Like they didn't just start playing together. Like they've been scrimming in North America. Like we scrimmed them. They've made a couple changes. So Owie was playing the 5 and Kitrak was playing the 4. Moon Meander wasn't there for a little while. Like he was there in the beginning and then he stopped and MSS replaced him and now they're playing with Moon again. So, and I think at one like
Could that have just been holidays, like holiday timing?
No.
Okay.
This was over a period of weeks, but it was also like they've changed positions around because Moon was playing the 5 and Owie was playing the 4 and Kitrak was playing the 1. Like it was all over the place. But like, I think this team will work, but they run into a small problem because I know that
they're gonna lose Ritsu in 2 weeks.
I mean, they could. But so Bryle is still in school. And like,
oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that being an issue at
with Digital
Summit
Chaos.
Or some event that he had to drop out. That when he was playing with Iceberg, they had to drop out of some qualifiers.
Yes.
Because his parents wouldn't let him travel to LAN.
Right. Well, I mean, and I think his parents also want him to stay at home and stay in school and things like that. And I just... I think he was set to join Digital Chaos, at least according to LG Diame fan. He was set to join Digital Chaos for a little while, but like he didn't join because like I think the org wanted him at the house and his parents wanted him at home, and like I guess it takes a lot of tact. So shout out to Phil and Charlie of EG for getting Sumail, out of the house and with EG and still got him through school.
Yeah.
So it really does, it takes a lot of tact to get some of these younger players, to be able to make sure that they're taking care of the needs of the player as well as the needs of the team. And so as long as they're casual like this, or if they can find an org that's willing to work with them with Bryle, then I think that this team, there's a lot of talent on this team. Like
I think him playing on a team now with, excuse me, with Moon and Owie, who are two, I think you'd say very, very well established professional players. Maybe he can talk to his parents and point to these guys and say, "Hey, mom, hey, dad, look at Owie and Moon. They've been doing this. They're successful. Give me a chance."
Right.
But that's just me being hopeful. I have no idea what his situation is like.
Right. So I think that this team will do well. I mean, Bryle's just insanely good. It's stupid how good he is. Like, they really don't even need Ritsu. They could just sit a sack of flour in front of the computer, probably. Like, Bryle's absurdly good.
His Queen of Pain. Ooh, damn.
His Invoker.
I don't remember seeing his Invoker just because it's hard to pick that hero, but
sure.
You can pick Queen of Pain in almost any game.
I think he's played some Invoker in, what is it? Is it FPL? Face It Pro League?
Okay, yeah. Which
is kind
you can definitely pick Invoker there.
Yeah, side note, has that kind of gone by the wayside? Is it like, are people still playing FPL? I'm sure Demon's still playing FPL, but
I think it's still active, but just because like we're in the thick of tournament season, people aren't streaming it anymore. Like, you used to see Arteezy stream it for like 16 hours straight, but now he's got to scrim and practice for tournaments. So,
sure. So I think we've been seeing a lot of teams who have not been super successful at qualifying for events have already obviously started their roster change, which is what we're talking about now. But I'm wondering if we're going to see some of the more established teams make any kind of roster changes now that rosters are unlocked. And this is the last lock before the international. So like part of me almost wonders like, I know EG is like, oh, okay, we got to give this a chance, but you got to, if I was in their shoes, like I would be thinking like, we kind of shit the bed, like we've kind of been shaky for a little while.
It's been a bad year for EG.
Yeah, should we be looking, for somebody for something else? But
we do have one more team to talk about. which is Team World, baby. And, I guess there's Big God 2.0 is a team now as well. It's, one of these Chinese superstar teams. Yeah. Zhao 8, Burning, Ferrari, CH, and then Newbie the player, not Newbie the team.
Right.
I mean, I think it's just going to be another show match team. I don't think there's really much to get into here. It's going to be fun to see Ferrari play again.
Absolutely. The only team we've ever seen like this go anywhere was 2014 DK.
But that was like a real team because that was these guys in their prime.
Let's see. It was... Who was Burning? Burning wasn't on that team with DK, was he?
Yeah, I believe he was.
Was it Burning, Mushi, Ice, Zhao?
I'm pulling up the exact roster right now. Yeah, it's Burning, Mushi, Ice, Lanham, and MMY.
It was MMY? I thought it was ROTK. No, ROTK left...
ROTK left in 2013.
Okay.
So, those guys were all pretty much in the prime of their careers, and yeah, Mushi and Ice definitely are still very competitive. But I think this is just, like I said, it's going to be a show match team. It'll be fun to watch them play because I haven't seen Ferrari play in what feels like a lifetime. I don't think there's really much to get into here. I'd rather talk about Team World, which is going to be Anna.
I think it's going to be a disaster.
I think it's going to be a disaster too, but it's an interesting roster. Anna, Forev, SVG, who is the old coach of EG for a very long time. And then Saksa and Kaiser. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I always pronounced it Kaiser.
Yeah, Kaiser, who was the carry player for Planet Dog.
So do you know if Kaiser is going to be the 2 position?
I believe he is, because Anna is going to be playing carry, because he thinks he's a better carry than a mid laner. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I haven't seen Anna play since TI. There was that drama with that dude on Reddit that said he owed him money, but that never really turned into anything.
Yeah, and then he said he was taking a break. I don't
know.
Well,
okay, let's be fair. He definitely took, this was a real break. This was not your classic Dota 2, I'm retiring, next week, here's my new team. He took, a solid 4 months off. That's a season.
Saksa took, a month off, I think, when he was like, I'm taking a break.
That.
Never mind, I'm playing for Optic. By the way, I'm leaving Optic, here's my new squad.
Yeah. I think, it's an interesting team, but... if they were competing maybe in North America, I would be paying more attention to this team, but they're going to be playing in Europe. So they have, they're going to have to go into qualifiers against Secret or Liquid or,
Real talk, I think they're just going to get shit on.
Yeah, I mean, even OG is a much better team than this team. And they're playing in Europe too.
I could be totally wrong. These guys could come out swinging for the fences, and we've got, Kaiser is just
I feel like this team is going to have a pretty sick honeymoon phase, but it's going to fall off pretty quickly.
It's going to be a disaster from beginning to end. I think we'll see Anna. I think we'll see Anna and Kaiser switch it up in terms of positions. I think we'll see SVG and Saksa switch it up in terms of positions. I think that after not qualifying for a couple of events, we'll see Forev leave.
I saw there was a comment in the Reddit thread about this team that just encapsulated it perfectly. I didn't dig it up, so I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to credit this user, but someone said, I feel like this is a team that gets together for TI qualifiers, doesn't make it, and then disbands the day after.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that about sums it up.
That's exactly what this feels like. Though I don't know why Forev would leave.
Right? That's so strange.
It makes no sense to me how these players think about money, man. It makes no sense at all. Ritsu left VGJ.
It's painful, to be honest.
Making, he
was salaried.
I think he made they made at least $3K a month or something like that. And for no money to go play with Howie. I don't get it.
Right?
And Forev is peace out, Immortals. I'm going to go play with this random stack. Like,
Maybe they should require these guys to go work for a year at a retail job just to get an idea of, how, I don't want to say lucky, but like you're in a fortunate position.
to be paid, like it feels like working with NBA players almost, or like the worst of the NBA players, where it's like they're all divas, they all want to play with who they want, like, you know,
Yeah.
it's so upsetting. But then like on the back end, you have players where it's like, whoa, 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 you can't take more than 15% of the prize pool, organization. Sorry, that's a lot of money. And it's like, okay, well, what if they offer you a lot of money annually that's guaranteed? It's guaranteed. And then you can still take a smaller cut of that really large prize pool, which is still a lot of money. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm all about betting on yourself. Like if I'm ever playing a carry in a game of Dota 2, I fucking mash that predict button because I'm like, if I don't
Oh,
believe
for
in
sure.
myself to win this game, then why am I playing carry?
Yeah, you have to go into every game thinking you're the best player on the server, but like at the end of the day, you got to sit down and be realistic with yourself once
Like,
you're outside of the game.
it blows my mind that people are not like, no, 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 I'm trying to get guaranteed money. Like, it's, in a way, it's beautiful that people are playing just for the sheer love of the
You know
game.
what, man? This is a good discussion because right now I'm going to say it. Dendi, smartest player in Dota 2.
Why?
Stuck with Navi, stuck with that salary, no matter what.
Yeah,
No
he got
matter what.
But he's in a win-win situation. He is the poster boy of Dota 2
Mhm.
always. Even when he's not at the International, they invite him to the International to get shit canned by OpenAI. Like,
Yeah.
so he's the poster boy of Dota 2. He's making a huge salary. Navi knows his worth. They're never going to let him go. They're going to give him whatever he wants. It's like, what's his Stan Van Gundy at OSU. Every year he's like, I think I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go to one of these open coaching positions, and Oklahoma State's like, no, please don't leave us. Here's more money. It's like,
Yeah.
and also he's like, he gets to stay in his home country and probably in his own home. Like,
Yeah.
it's win 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 always for Dendy. Like there's literally no reason to leave Navi.
All right. Well, I just want to push us on because we are, I believe, running close to time, and I want to talk about Galaxy battles before we have to sign off. So, for those of you who might not know, 6 days ago, January 4th, Valve published a statement on their rarely used but official blog page that they were going to be cutting their support for the Galaxy Battles 2 tournament. This was going to be a major event. It is now no longer even on the Valve Pro Circuit. It gives no points. So the reason that they gave was, what was the official reason? Let me pull it up real quick.
I believe it has to do
Government regulations for esports players entering the Philippines. But I believe it's since surfaced that this is centered around their pretty draconian drug policies and the fact that esports players are classified as athletes, so all these guys would have to be drug tested to enter the country.
Right.
And within 4 days of that announcement, Virtus Pro dropped out, Secret dropped out, Liquid dropped out, Optic dropped out, Newbie dropped out, Mineski dropped out. And OG is playing with fucking Mad and Kezu in place of No Tail and S4. So, like, right off the bat, this tournament is just a ghost of what it once was.
Right.
Right now, we're looking at Infamous OG, TNC, LGD Forever Young, Team Spirit, Pain Gaming, Evil Geniuses, and VGJ Thunder. And some of these teams, they still have time to drop out.
I thought EG dropped out.
No, EG has actually confirmed that they're going. Yeah, they've confirmed that Evil Geniuses will be attending Galaxy Battles with their full roster. So we're going to get to see the Misery experiment continue. I don't think they could afford to drop out of this tournament, honestly. They really need to play games with Misery if they want to make this work.
Sure.
But this looks so bad. Like, holy shit, dude, this looks awful.
It's bad for the Philippines, but it's kind of like,
It's going to be good in the long run, but like think about this from an outsider's perspective that doesn't follow the scene as religiously as we do. They are looking at their schedule. They see, oh, neat, there's this Galaxy Battles 2 major coming up. My favorite teams are playing. And then they look the next day and they say, oh, they just canceled a major?
yeah.
You can do that? What?
I mean, technically the tournament's still going on. They just revoked the status.
Yeah, but there's no pro circuit points on the line, so I don't care.
Right. Um, I don't know. That most everybody predicted that this was going to be a shitty tournament from the very beginning.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think that they were wrong when Leviathan was playing in opens, and I think we got decently far into opens. I was just like, fuck, I don't want to win this tournament. I don't want to go to this shitty tournament. Like, I know it's worth like major points. I was like, but fuck, could we just go to another tournament?
the last one was kind of a disaster, if I recall correctly. Lots of tech delays, and it took them ages to pay out, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I think that Valve has their reasons, and while they may say that it's due to government regulations, which to be fair, that is not something that Valve wants to have to deal with, especially in a foreign country. But I do think that it's also it feels a little convenient because it's kind of like this drug policy has been around for a while, and so people who did their due diligence, which I'm sure Valve did, would have known that this was going to happen, or at least had some idea that it could happen. And
it sounds like they were just trying to get as close to the event as possible before they made their decision.
Sure.
But it's sad to me. Like, we went from having a pretty exciting Team 1 event to a total waste of a tournament slot in what feels like the blink of an eye. And this leaves us with, I don't know if you've looked at the schedule, but there's a huge gap in majors now if they don't announce something really soon to fill it.
They're supposed to be trying to fill it, and I'm wondering if Valve is going to try to put something on themselves
like in Seattle,
because I'm guessing that there's not going to be a TI in Seattle this year.
I mean, if they're trying to scramble to put an event together, it definitely makes sense to keep it close to home so that they can be really hands-on.
And it would still provide anybody in America in that region who wants to go,
good American event for the NA fans. But yeah, the next major is ESL Katowice at the end of February. And then I find this kind of odd that there's another major like a week after.
Yeah.
So there's ESL Katowice and then the Bucharest major. But it just feels really strange. We're going to go for like 2 months with just minor tournaments. And especially for me, this really stings because it comes right alongside the Overwatch League premiere tonight, which is actually happening right now, right?
Yeah, it should be on.
It's just like
the first game.
It just makes me cry for some kind of structure. Like, I used to be pretty anti, franchising, whatever, like the LCS and Overwatch League, but the past couple months and just some of these tournament debacles have really changed my mind. I think some structure would be welcome at this point.
I've always been a proponent for structure in Dota 2. I love the franchising model. I mean, a lot of people, and I've dealt with people like this all my life in, Seattle and stuff like that. In Seattle, you had people bitching about, I don't like all the tech companies being here. They're destroying what makes Seattle great. I'm like, they're ruining its character. And I'm like, no.
Rain and coffee?
I was like, they're bringing in money and improving the area. And people in New York do the same thing. They bitch about things,
Dude, I hate New York City.
Uphill, and people being like, oh, this used to be such a neighborhood with such character. And like, I've seen people make like the same arguments about Dota 2 is that franchising and professionalism, like it takes away from what it is. And it's like,
Well, I
no, it
really like
doesn't.
third-party tournaments because when they're done right, they're great. But these past, I guess you could say past year, I think there's been enough bad tournaments that they've really soured me on that. And I don't know if I want like total franchising, but I really want Valve to get more involved in these
Oh,
events
I
and
agree.
like
But I mean, think about it
start
this way.
meddling.
Like, they should, and but I've been advised by some friends with information on the subject to not criticize Valve if I want a future involvements with them. So I canceled my article heeding that advice, talking about the pro circuit. But I really do wish that they would get
I think the pro
involved.
circuit is a cool idea, but at this point there needs to be more Valve intervention other than, hey, we'll match your prize pool.
I mean, I think that it's going to come on to the players and the organizations. Like, I could easily see that with the advent of Overwatch League, I could see Overwatch League organizations like NVUS and FaZe Clan and stuff like that buying up teams, or Optic, who just bought into a
Well,
Dota team, picking up these teams and then banding together with and being like, we're going to create a league that we participate in, that we go to third party vendors, and like they can create it themselves and almost cut Valve out. And at that point, Valve will be like, whoa, 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 we want in.
you make a good point about that, and I want to bring up Counter-Strike for a minute. I know you're not a big fan, but a lot of Counter-Strike fans have the same issues that we're having right now with CS:GO tournaments because they're kind of run on the same structure. They've kind of taken up the position of, oh yeah, we just make the game and we'll license it out to you, whatever. Maybe, yeah, we'll match your prize pool, blah blah blah. But the recent E-League major in Atlanta, there's been a lot of flack about like the really small talent pool, and the structure is really weird. It's going to be played out over like 3 weeks. But NVUS and FaZe Clan both have Counter-Strike teams already. FaZe is one of the better CSGO teams at the moment. So the onus is really on them. And I think if their foray into Overwatch League really does succeed, I hope that we start to see some of these changes get forced, like you said, by the orgs. Because these big name orgs, especially like FaZe and Optic and Envious, that have the huge fan bases outside of whatever specific game it is they're following, these guys have a ton of pull. And I think, yeah, like what you said, I really agree with that it's going to fall to the orgs and players to make a lot of these changes, because I think Valve is pretty content with what they've got right now, just kind of printing money,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, that's a lot of what we've seen make changes happen for Valve is Valve operates based on their wallet. Is
Yeah,
people stop
definitely,
spending their money
definitely.
on something, Valve is like, okay, we need to make a change.
I think the
So
best example of that is probably the paid mods on the Steam store.
I think we're gonna end up having a problem where Valve doesn't get in line until it's too late. Like it, I mean, I kind of feel like Team Fortress kind of went this way a little bit, where it's like when they decided to change things up, it was too late. Other games had already moved in to take its place. And
Hmm.
like Valve's just not looking ahead for themselves is kind of what it feels like, because Overwatch League very proactive, franchising, all that. Whereas I think Valve, the only thing that could make them move to this type of model is if people stop buying tickets to minors and majors and things like that, and then they're like, "Shit, we're losing money." Like,
Don't buy the Battle Pass, guys. Don't do it.
people always buy the Battle Pass. Gotta have those
I
internet
know.
hats, man.
I know, man. If I don't get my $2,000 wallet size Aegis in the mail,
But I
I'll
mean,
be so sad.
we already kind of see some of that in some of these minor tournaments. Like uh, I was really pleased that Moonduck went out of their way to be like, we are going to do an actual event where people can come and sit in the audience and things like that. Like, the summit was a minor and nobody was there but the players and the talent. Like,
that's kind of an unfair example though, because the summit, they've been doing that forever.
Okay,
they
have.
They've carved out a niche for themselves as like you can watch the players. It's like summer camp of the tournament for players, basically.
It is, but I mean, like,
you've got a point though. You've got a point. There've been a lot of events that have been closed to the public,
and I think this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I think things like the summit need to go. That doesn't need to be a minor. Whereas Captain's Draft does. Captain's Draft went out of their way to be like, we're going to hold an event. I think that helps bolster what the scene is trying to accomplish. Whereas the summit is online only, and that's fine if there's one event out of the year. Though I still don't think that it should have a place. I don't think that we should be looking towards, oh, well, we're only doing an online event, but that's taking up the spot of an event that people might go to. And I think a bigger problem, or the thing that makes it a big problem to me, is that they're in LA. They're in a large market.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would be out of the question and even if they just wanted to do like, okay, well, we're going to do group stages online. It's in the house. We'll do fun stuff like that. And then we're going to do...
Yeah, would you be okay if they did everything at the summit in the house up to the grand finals, and then they go play the grand finals at an arena?
I'd totally be fine with that.
Yeah? So your point is just as long as they sell tickets at some point.
Like, it's not that it's like, I'm not sitting here trying to say like, oh, the summit is a shitty event. It's a great event. It's a great concept. Everybody loves it. But the problem is it kind of feels like, the idea of accusing somebody of not being a team player. It's like, I want you to further the mission of this scene by making an event, getting the buzz out around the city to normal people who have no idea what esports is. Every year when I go to TI, every time I get in an Uber, I've gotten to the point now where people are like, oh, you're going to that video game thing, aren't you? When I went in 2014, people are like, where are you headed? Oh, Key Arena. Oh, well, what's going on down there? I've seen some signs and things. $20 million video game tournament. Holy shit, $20 million. Tell me more about that.
I think you make a really good point about accessibility here, and I think that's going to be really important moving forward. And I would be interested to see what the scene looks like with that as a requirement. Like, if you want to host a Valve Major or Minor, you have to at least be able to sell tickets to the grand finals.
Right.
Because I think that accessibility is really going to be the future of this game. Because Dota 2 is hard enough to get into as it is.
I agree. So let's see. On the horizon, we have we're gonna have some roster news coming in. I gotta believe that that's happening now that rosters
There's definitely
are
going to be roster news.
Unlocked. Yeah. We've had some already, but I'm hoping there's gonna be more. Always entertaining. We have a couple minors coming up, I believe, is what it is.
ESL Genting, and then the 4th Starladder Invitational shortly after.
Okay.
And, if you want to check it out, Galaxy Battles does start in 5 days. They're still going to be playing.
So, we'll see.
I'll probably watch EG play, at least, just to see how they look.
I agree. So that is definitely going to wrap it up for us. We do not know when we are going to be back. I just want to make that clear. We'll
be back
in a
when there's
weird
stuff
spot.
to talk about.
Exactly. Well, I mean, we're in a weird spot with Galaxy Battles being canceled, so we don't technically have a lot to cover. We should show up after, or at least around tournaments, sometimes before, sometimes after, sometimes both. So be sure to follow us on Twitter, at eGamerNews. For the main site, it'll let you know when we go live here on Twitch for news specific to us and specific to usually the safe lane. My Twitter handle is beneath my face, and Jack's is beneath his.
Mine is too. Make sure you guys follow this Twitch channel if you're not already. Toss us a follow.
Absolutely, we would appreciate the follow. All right, guys, that is definitely going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.